Scholars, welcome back to the counselor's office. We're back with your generic intros. Listen, I've been spending the past week not streaming or doing things because I've been trying to do new things, and I think a lot of you appreciate it, especially the intros, adding a little flavor, a little dash to your day. And so I'm coming to you before we jump into our topic, which is a very important topic for all gamers, to be honest. For the channel, as like an update, I just want to put it out there. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm just going to give you the gist of it. Essentially, what I was talking about with this post is to see what the community feels like about me posting actual Let's Plays. Not because I live stream a lot of the games I play, and then I play a lot of things off screen that I just never record. And so to you guys, the question is, would you like to see a series of playthroughs, just me playing offline, never online, just 30 minutes of an extra video? It wouldn't replace what we do normally, but it's something that if I feel better if I don't end up streaming for a week, at least I can put out a 30-minute playthrough that you can still enjoy of some said game. Like, even if it's like Crimson Desert, where I'm playing for 30 minutes, running around like a dork, even though if I don't live stream it, you guys could still see and enjoy it. So let me know. The link to this poll will be down below, because I know some people don't know where to find them. The link to the poll will be down below. I don't know if you're on mobile, how easy it is to find it. If not, you know, you're always welcome to say something in the comment section, but the link should be there to easily access and vote. And let me know what you think. There's 6,000 of you almost. Click the goddamn button. I'm joking. Or am I? Yeah, that's right. Sonic Cup. So we're going to jump through and we're going to see, we're going to talk about stop killing games. This is a topic that is important to all of us. It really is. And I haven't really I've mentioned and made comments about stop killing games, but I never actually physically talked about the movement. This is a movement that's going to put pressure on the gaming industry like we've never seen before. And I think it will be for the best, because imagine like games like, I'll wait. I'll wait till he starts talking about something. I imagine he's going to bring up things that I'm going to ramble on. By the way, this is your final warning. This is a react. And if you've never seen my reacts, I actually react and I give my position and my thoughts on a topic. And if you don't like that, the link to the original video is down below. If I see you commenting, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself if you're upset that I'm talking a lot. This is my video. So don't like it. Why are you still here? For everyone else, welcome. Let's react.
Ubisoft's decision to delist the crew keeps coming back to bite them, and now they are being sued by one of the largest consumer rights groups in France, who say that Ubisoft cheated their customers. And that's
in April 2024, Ubisoft began revoking licenses from customers without issuing refunds, sparking a backlash over the precedent such actions could set. UFC, I'm not even going to try. Nope. Sorry, if that's French, I'm not going to butcher your language. I'm sorry. UFC just sounds funny on its own anyways. The UFC alleges Ubisoft misled consumers about the permanence of the purchase and imposed abusive contractual clauses stripping players of ownership rights. The lawsuit was backed by European consumer movement Stop Killing Games, SKG, which was launched in response to the Crew controversy. Yeah, I remember when this went down, when they shut down the Crew out of nowhere. By the way, we now have another, example, Anthem. Holy shit. Anthem, dude. Anthem just died, and I know a lot of people saw potential, and now no one gets to enjoy it. Even for what it was, you can't enjoy it. I still have the disc, and it's just a paperweight. I'm literally using it as like a cup holder for drinks. That's what it is right now.
sounds familiar to you, well, yeah, you're right. This is exactly what started Stop Killing Games. And that's exactly why Stop Killing Games are backing this group.
Good.
What this also is a big escalation for Stop Killing Games. And if the case succeeds, then, well, consumer gaming as a medium will be utterly changed. First, let's get you up to speed. So since the last time we checked in, Stop Killing Games has basically gone institutional. The European Citizens Initiative signatures have been delivered, and the group has shown up at the European Parliament.
I forgot what his name, but he's one of the main guys. I love how everyone's like, all serious. He's just one of these things isn't like the other. He looks like he's just photo. You got all these guys that are all serious looking, and then you got him. I'm sorry. It's just funny to me, this bitch. He's just sitting. Is he wearing a suit and tie? You can't tell. It doesn't do him any favors that he's hidden. I'm sure he looks dressed up and professional, but just everyone, it's just him hiding in a corner. It's just too funny.
Parliament for the first time. They've established formal NGOs, one in Europe, another in progress in America, and they're describing themselves as, quote, a global non-profit platform for digital sovereignty, consumer rights, and the preservation of games. So this is more than just a petition. It is an actual advocacy movement that is becoming legit across the world. And that means...
I want to know what kind of camera Bellular uses. He looks fucking fly. Like, mine looks pretty good, but his, like, the background, like, that shit, he looked clean. Mine's just so zoomed in, which sucks. Like, I don't have the background image like he does. Anyways, enough glazing the look of his camera. I think that the Stop Killing Games is going to cause a lot of... It's already ruffling feathers, but once it starts actually showing signs of impacting America, because they can do their little, signatures in America, and let's be honest, getting signatures in America is just a fucking waste of time. It does nothing. Hell, how many signatures were people trying to do to, like, get people out of office in our government? Ooh, you got a signature. Oh, like, no one gives a shit about signatures in this country. It's unfortunate. Freedom of speech means freedom to write your name down and then you have people wipe the paper, has tissue on their asshole. That's pretty much what they do with it. It's pointless, which is why they had no traction and they had to go to Europe, which I do think if things get, going in Europe, they will shift the model across the globe. I do believe that.
That they can back other groups who are going after similar things, like the French consumer group that just launched a lawsuit against Ubisoft. Now, if I've learned one thing in my life, it's don't mispronounce French things. It really drives them mad. So I'm going to call this consumer advocacy group UFC, because it's in their name.
Remember, you French people, I didn't make the mistake. Don't hate me.
And I kind of find that funny. So the UFC are suing Ubisoft for shutting down the crew in 2024. That's 10 years, of course, after the game came out. And the whole lawsuit comes down to one question. A little bit of an asterisk, it's machine translated, and it puts it like this. Does the purchase of a video game in physical or digital format allow players to claim, at a minimum, a right of use? And here's the key bit, everyone. Totally independent of the sole will and authorization of the publisher. That
does the purchase of a video game in physical or digital format allow players to claim at a minimum a right of use totally independent of the sole will and authorization of the publisher? Yes. You are not buying, like, even movies. You buy a movie CD or even VHS tapes. Yes, it is not the responsibility of the movie developers to continue to ensure that you can watch the movie that's on VHS is able to still be used on VHS, right? Or that they're continue to make that those components to be able to have access to that. You still own that device. It's still there and it's still playable. You can still watch VHSs if you have the technology to use it. When it comes to the games and like the Crew or even Anthem, because Anthem shut down, there's no way to play it. There's no access. It's completely disabled. There's no way that you can boot up and play it on your computer, on your tablet, on console. It's gone. So you have this disc that has all the information of the game, but you just can't have access to it. It's like, it's not okay. It's not acceptable. You purchased a product, not a service. Not a subscription. This isn't Netflix. This isn't Hulu Plus. You are paying for a product. So yes, you should always have access to video games, especially if they're online games. If you are consistently buying expansions and you're buying things into it, you should have access to it at all times. Even if it means you have to run it on your own server, your own local server. But is it the responsibility to keep servers up at all times? No. I think these are two truths. I think it's not possible to say that, let's say Bungie decided to shut down Marathon, or Sony decided to shut down Marathon, but they're ordered by the courts because, the changes came into play. You have to keep the servers open. That's unfair. Now, the court orders Sony that you can't shut down Marathon completely. You can disconnect your servers. You don't have to keep servers running, but you have to allow independent use of the game. So if someone like me want to run a server, I run my own, and then I can, have other people join it. That should be how it is. But let's be honest, there's certain games that you didn't even need to play online. You just need to be able to play on your computer. Like Anthem, you don't need to play with other people. It's nice, but you could play solo. And so games like that, there's really no excuse.
That's the key bit. You see, right now, most stores sell games as licenses, not products.
Which is not
and
acceptable.
That means that if the company decides, they can just revoke the license. And UFCQC wants to prove whether that is actually legal or not. And to do
if they can make that illegal, gaming will change forever. Even Nintendo's giving out the stupid shitty cards that don't even have even anything on them. They're like a code on the card, and that's it. That shit will go down the toilet, and I will be so happy that happens, because I've yet to get a Nintendo Switch 2 for that freaking reason, that I don't want to have to get cards that have like a fucking nonsensical, like I want to be able to own my fucking thing. Like people who have the OG, Pokemon games have a fucking cartridge that you can plug it in and play. The Nintendo 64, you have access to that forever. You can play it as long as it works. And that's how it should be. Same thing if you buy a TV, it works for as long as it works. You don't have to worry about, someone sending a code and disabling it. Hell, they tried to discontinue phones, like planned cancellation of bullshit, where they update it to make it like die. And that was found to be illegal. Like, you can't do that shit. And that's the same thing that they're doing with games. It's they want to be able to say, hey, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. Bop, turn the game off. And you no longer have access to that. And that should not be a thing.
That, they're going after specific clauses in Ubisoft's license. So let's discuss what they're actually challenging here. There are clauses that let Ubisoft, quote, deny consumers ownership rights over acquired game copies, shut the game down without offering any alternative, that require online services that can be interrupted, and to refuse refunds on any purchases players made inside the game. They are also going after deceptive business practices, alleging the players were never warned that they could lose access. So what they want.
So here's the deal. All of this is just to give them more control. These are like big highlights that happen across the gaming industry. And the moment you threaten that, you're going to see other game developers and studios come in and jump into the pie and into the fight. But I do think like the last one he talked about, the warning label, all that's going to happen is if that gets passed, all you're going to see for future games, even on like boxes, is you're going to see them slap a label saying, this is a license, not owning the game. You're buying a license, which I do think to some degree there will be like a ripple effect. Like some people, like I do think some savvy people will be like, okay, well, then I'm not buying it. Whereas other people are just going to be completely ignorant of it. Like your grandma and grandpa are just going to buy it and give it to the kid. You know, they're going to give it to the grandson, grandma, or granddaughter, whatever, whoever they're buying it for. Let's be honest, it's a grandson. Let's be honest. There's I as someone who worked in electronics for almost like 5 years, I know the amount of people who take the time to actually read, even the ones that said online only would come back upset and be like, did you look at the box? Did you read it? It says online only right there. People don't pay attention. So, and that's not going to solve the problem with the, us gamers. It's not, because there's going to be too many people who just slap a label on it and no one's going to pay attention. All right, let's jump back into
is a legal answer to these questions, once and for all. Now, it's not the first time that Ubisoft's licenses have been challenged, and it's not the first time that this specific group has even taken on a major gaming company. So to understand what's going on, we should probably talk about what they've already done.
I don't want ads. Ah! I hate mobile ads like this.
Just going to fly over to the good old USA. So, last year, a US class action lawsuit was filed over The Crew. This went down in February 2025, and it landed on two of the same arguments: that players were not warned about losing access, and that Ubisoft revoked access to what players had been treating as property, not merely a license. And Ubisoft's defense there kind of tells us exactly what is coming. Ubisoft said that players never had, quote, unfettered ownership rights in the game. That the physical...
I think that's bullshit. If you bought a physical copy, and this is why you're seeing more games go digital, because that becomes less of an argument, that if you buy a physical game, you have physical access. Well, you see what we're being trained is to be okay with digital. I mean, who was it that made the comment, the CEO that said that players need to get used to not owning their games? Like, that was a real statement from a CEO in a gaming studio. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to train everyone to be okay with digital. They want to get rid of the physical copy world, and everything's going to be digital. Hell, I remember when I first saw the digital world happening was Fortnite. They had a box. You'd open the fucking box, and it was just it was like a reminiscent of those Xbox Live cards. You just have a little card with a code. You type in the code, and it would just give you like whatever came. Like, it was just skins. That's what it was, because the game, like the battle royale, was free, but no one fucking knew. Like, if you weren't actually like savvy and you're just a kid, you're like, oh, I want to buy Fortnite. I want to play Fortnite. So they buy these. It's just the scummy tactics, right? Shit like that. They grant people buy it for them, thinking they're buying a game, and what they're doing is they're buying a code for fucking skins. That was when it really clicked to me. Like, this is where we're going digital. They're trying to train people to think it's acceptable to not actually have physical copies, because physical copies last forever. Well, as long as you take care of it and it just doesn't naturally die, right? People are still playing Nintendo 64, so let's be honest. If you took care of your shit, you can make it last for fucking 100 years. But I knew when I started seeing shit like that pop up in the store that they're trying to remove ownership, and it's even more true than it has ever been before. Yeah, it's really sad.
And digital versions both made it clear that the game needed online servers and that Ubisoft could shut those servers down, and that further to those arguments, precedent was actually on their side in the US. Now, that is thanks to a 2011 ruling over whether Square could take down a Final Fantasy XI account, basically take it away from a player who broke terms of service.
But that's not the same thing. Breaking terms of service means it's like you can't go to a restaurant, order a meal, and then start, destroying their property or start doing things that they didn't expect. Take your pants down in the middle of the store. Like, there's certain shit you can't do, and they can revoke that service. Like, that's what you do. Like, that's normal. That's not the same thing as if you ordered food and then you're eating, and then out of nowhere they said, okay, we're shutting down. They grab your plate and they throw it in the trash, and then they kick you the fuck out. That's not the same thing. You bought the fucking food. You need to be able to have ownership of that. Regardless of the institute is shutting down, you should be able to keep your food.
Now, obviously, US law is not EU law, but looking at this, we can literally see Ubisoft's defense. We basically know their playbook. And if anyone is ready for a fight against that playbook, it is actually UFC QC. Back in 2020, the target was Nintendo. It was Joy-Cons and planned obsolescence. And they say that their complaint kicked off a chain of action that eventually saw the European Commission...
This is why I fucking hate Nintendo. I mean, I love their product, like the games they make. Like, you can hate Nintendo, but love the studios that work for them. Like, Zelda was fucking amazing. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, chef's kiss. But Nintendo themselves are just rich, old, scummy assholes. They're a piece of fucking shit. And there's like, I knew they were a piece of shit back when I worked at when I worked in electronics. They literally sold for like $50 to $100 cardboard fucking boxes cut out. That's what they were. Anyone remember was it like the Wii U or something? I forgot what it was. Maybe it was the Switch one. It was very early on. They sold card. You know what? Why talk about? Here it is, Nintendo Labo. That's right. You pay money for fucking cardboard. You can't make this shit up. They're literally just selling you cardboard, bro. How much was this shit? I need to know how much literally they're selling you cardboard. That is it. They're literally selling you cardboard. Release date, yeah, 2018. I kid you not. This, when I saw this come to the store, okay, Nintendo's just lost the plot. Nintendo's lost the fucking plot. And this was around the same time that the Joy-Cons were going out and people were like saying it was, stick drift, and Nintendo was like, it's not a big deal. Yeah, this is when you really realized how shitty Nintendo is as a company. They're scummy. They're anti-gamer. The studios within make great games, but they themselves are anti-gamer. 100% shutting down tournaments, trying to control, people having emulators of games that are no longer available to purchase, that people have lost access. They are everything about Nintendo is what's wrong with the gaming world.
And Nintendo extend warranties beyond the legal guarantee. And that was a huge win. Let's just all be honest for a second. The situation with the Switch Joy-Cons was absolutely goddamn absurd. They knew those problems existed for years upon years upon years, and they knew that they would just make a shitload of money over people rebuying Joy-Cons. That was absolute scumbag behavior. Whew, that got me fired up. Anyway.
If that's not Nintendo.com.
That's one thing UFC QC did pretty well at. But there's another thing. In 2024, a legal complaint against Activision over unexplained player bans in Call of Duty. And that same year, they also pushed for changes to virtual currencies alongside other European consumer groups following demands for change from EA back in 2022. And that push, as we've covered in this channel, did actually move the needle at the European Consumer Organization. So they've done a lot of stuff.
I want to read that. The EU did not take non-compliance lying down. That's why there's a USB-C cable charge to charge your phone. That's why you can play with emulators on your phone. They make decisions and then enforce them. The allegation was not that Star Table Online was targeting children with commercial practices that might be harmful. The findings corroborate that. Oh, the allegation was that it was targeting children. Okay, yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, everyone knew that Epic Games was targeting children. It's so obvious. They made it so easy to purchase. Like, that was a whole drama situation. So now Epic stores had to make it to where it was harder for just kids to just go, boop, done.
Actually move the needle at the European Consumer Organization. So they've done a lot of stuff. They've had plenty of wins, but they don't always win. In 2024, the French Supreme Court actually ruled against them over whether Steam players could resell their games, and the court cited a 2019 EU ruling on ebooks. Yeah, as it turns out, digital copies could not be resold, and Valve's license terms were basically consistent with that.
I think that's fair. I've never heard of this ruling, but it makes sense. You get digital copy, you own it. We won't take that away from you, but you can't sell it. I mean, it makes complete sense that physical copies are physical, and that obviously there'd be used products, so you should be able to sell it. Whereas digital, it's in fine condition 24/7, and you try at that point a game that's completely there's no it doesn't look like the data takes damage or something when you're playing the game. You're just transferring over rights to another person, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It's not like a car in that sense, because the car loses its value over time versus a game that it maintains its perfect state. Like it's the state that it's released at, and I'm not talking about updates. I'm talking about in the line of how do people evaluate value. A game doesn't degrade. Its popularity might degrade, but itself doesn't actually degrade. It's the same as it was at launch if you just continue to have it as it is. I know there's updates, and it's a hard comparison, but I can see the argument. It's not like going to your GameStop and you have a physical copy and this game's been used a lot. It has wear and tear. Steam never has wear and tear.
Now, I should say the rationale behind that ruling was actually quite narrow. It was about reselling digital goods that cannot deteriorate.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the bigger ownership questions that we've been dealing with in this video.
Bingo.
But win or lose, UFC QC are clearly not afraid of a fight. And at this point, they are pushing well past where Stop Killing Games have gone.
No, somebody, I have a question. Why need to install ad blocker on Microsoft?
Thus saying they're going beyond Stop Killing Games. Ross Scott, Stop Killing Games' founder, actually makes the same point in his video. He says that this case is, quote, pushing the Overton window in some respects.
Yep.
As he points out, Stop Killing Games haven't actually asked for legal requirements to keep games running after live support ends. Not yet, anyway. This lawsuit is one that goes
To make the use of game subject to online support may be interrupted at any time by the publisher. I just think that you don't have to have let's use Marathon for example. If Sony said, you know what, we're shutting down Marathon, I don't think it's fair to demand that Sony has to keep servers up at all times for people to play Marathon. However, I think being able to, once you own it, you can boot it up, you can play, whether it's on your local server and you're by yourself against the NPCs or whatnot, then there's going to be no updates. There's not going to be maintenance. It is what it is in its final state of when the service was ended. However, being allowed to open your own server, having people come in and be able to modify, like imagine Anthem. Imagine Anthem. How many, if they allowed it to be playable, even after they disconnected their servers, people can modify and mod. Modders are a beautiful community in the gaming world that are able to essentially transform a game. Skyrim, we know, we've all been there, or at least we've seen. But also Starfield. Starfield was just awful. And they came out, modders fixed the game by turning it into Star Wars. There's a whole expansion of mods that transforms the game completely, and it looks really good. I've downloaded it, I just haven't installed it yet. But it's crazy the amount of effort that modders can put into a game to make it better. Not that they should, but if you've already purchased it and you can't get a refund, at least you can, make the game better. In this regard, people want to keep their game, and I do think that there would be, like we're using an example of Marathon, there are dedicated players that would run their own servers so that people who like and love and enjoy Marathon could still have that regardless of Sony deciding, you know what, we're shutting you down. So it does benefit everyone, including games that normally may not have a shot of staying around for longer than whatever, like High Guard. Like High Guard could still be running on someone's local server, even without any updates from the actual, publisher.
Way further than that, and it's making the labeling argument as well. So that's the one basically saying that Ubisoft never warned people that the game could be taken away. Now Ross is not convinced that that one is a clear win, and
no, because all they're going to do is label it and call it a day. That's it's like a band-aid, and that's not going to benefit gamers in the long run.
I think he's basically right, but they are still backing this group. They're backing UFC QC, and they're doing so materially. You see, this case has been in the works for over a year, and Stop Killing Games say that they have data and receipts from their French supporters that actually helped get the suit off the ground. And here is what a spokesperson described the move as to us. A step up in ambition and impact, not just continuation of the previous public goals. We have become a movement now, and with the NGO, we have bigger plans for the gaming industry. I'm sure there's a few people in the gaming industry who are not particularly happy about that, but this really would be a step up in plans. What they're pushing for here would genuinely upend how this industry works.
That arbitrarily allows Ubisoft to deny consumer ownership rights over acquired game copies, remove all access to the game without any guarantee of maintaining an alternative mode of operation for consumers, make the use of the game subject to online services that may be interrupted at any time, but the publisher exclude any refund of sum credited by consumers. No, they need to slap this shit down.
It's basically this. Should one of the world's biggest economies treat games as products or treat games as licenses. Now that could put the EU completely out of step with the rest of the world, who have erred on the side of the licenses. I mean, think about what Steam had to do in 2024, where they actually added a warning to the storefront that you are buying a license. And Steam did that for all of us because a California law required it. So would they have to go even further with, say, the EU? What does it even look like for a library of thousands of games? And
here's the deal. I think, and someone made a comment that we're going to get less games because of if this is successful. Good. That will force people like Sony and other companies from pushing out shit, slop, cash grab, ass, and force them to make games with the mindset that this game, when I make this, it's going to have to be able to be playable forever, even off my servers. Once I close down my personal servers, gamers are going to be able to access it and do what they want with the game because they own the game now. They've owned it the moment they bought it. And so it's going to change the perspective that these publishers are having. You're going to get less games, but hopefully they're going to be in better quality. And for the foreseeable future, if you get like a game like Marathon, you don't ever have to worry about losing access to it. Who the fuck cares about Steam charts? Who cares what Sony thinks, whether it's a success? I get to play it even if the server's shut down. Huh.
A real question about what sorts of things would break if this succeeds. Right now, you see, companies use license terms to moderate players, banning cheaters, removing abusive users.
Which is fine.
Now, if games are products...
This is a good question. Let him finish.
...and not licenses, does it get harder to ban someone? Now, Stop Killing...
I don't think so. Again, it's just like someone going into a restaurant, they order a meal, they start beating the shit out of everyone in there. You get kicked out. Doesn't matter if you bought something, you get kicked out. That's the law. Now, if you buy something and, they kick you out for no reason, you're eating and they take your food and throw it in the trash and they're like, we're shutting the store down, get it the fuck out. That's a different story. But no, if you're being an asshole into a restaurant, it doesn't matter how much money you spent. They can kick you out. You are breaking the rules of that establishment. You are disturbing the peace. You are not following the terms of the service in regards to what is expected when you go to a public restaurant or a private restaurant or any establishment, any business. You can't just do whatever the fuck you want. And the same thing with terms of service. If you're cheating or you're being abusive or anything, they have a right to kick you out of their business. And that is the same thing. Now, again, they can't just take it away from you because they decide to shut the business down and then you lose your food. No, you get to keep your food. They can't take your food away. And the same thing should be applied to games.
Game spokesperson told us that they see it differently, that whoever runs the servers still does get to enforce the rules, regardless of how a game is classified. But considering UFC QC already brought a complaint against Activision over exactly those kind of bans, well, you could see where this could all get a bit complicated. We're now speculating because nobody's actually done this before, and this ruling would essentially lock in the status quo or force companies into something that is completely new. And even if the status quo wins, that does just make the law itself the next target. And of course, that is a fight that Stop Killing Games have now built themselves for, and it's exactly where they'll go. Okay, so after this case plays out, and remember, it will be appealed, there will be some clarity. Either companies can keep doing what Ubisoft did, or they'll have to deal with an entirely new set of rules. But
I think if they're successful, there will be appeals. However, I guarantee you in this moment, this will shake the gaming industry and they will start planning. There's no shot you have these billion-dollar companies that are seeing this ripple happen, and yes, people are going to try to fight it, but they're not stupid. They are going to make backup plans for if it fails and they have to make changes. They're going to be brainstorming, thinking about, okay, how can we adjust? It's going to happen. There's no shot as a billion-dollar company, you don't make backup plans, you don't plan for the future. it's not going to happen. So I do think that if it gets to that point, we will see some background changes, and possibly there will be some companies that are going to try to make changes in advance to kind of like get ahead of the issue, so they just don't have to deal with it. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
This is just one front of a broader thing. Stop Killing Games' complaint to the French Consumer Protection Agency is still with that regulator. The European Citizens Initiative gets its hearing at the European Parliament on April 16th this year. And in many ways that's a big one, because it's their shot to make their case directly to legislators. And with funding from developers like Alderon Games, partnerships with UFC QC and Does It Play, the infrastructure is actually there now. So Stop Killing Games is not going anywhere. And this is something that started off with a YouTube video and a petition. It's now evolved into lawsuits, parliamentary hearings, and
it goes to show what passion from gamers can do. With passion and you dedication, this is what happens. And this is something that developers need to learn. Don't fuck with gamers, especially when they're passionate. There's some crazy assholes that throw death threats. That there's crazy people that are willing to throw petitions and go across the world to fight you.
Institutional lobbying across multiple countries. So the question isn't whether the games industry will have to reckon with this. They will have to reckon with it. The real question is how long they can put it off, and how much they can use the various processes in various countries to slow these efforts down. So expect many appeals over many years, and if you're someone who expected a lot of the Crimson Desert, like noise and anger and, these people versus those people, etc., to kind of be a load of bullshit that says more about...
The link to the video for him will be down below. I love Bellular. He's so clean. Very clean presentation. Very clean. Yeah, I mean... I do think that we need to see more regulation, but the problem, especially in America, is that it's so pro corpo that you even have gamers sucking the dick of billion-dollar companies. It makes it harder. I mean, look at Nintendo. People are complaining about the OG Pokemon, like Red, was it Fire Red, Leaf Green, being like $20 a pop instead of being like $10. And you had Nintendo fanboys literally, drooling out their butthole about how people are being stupid about it. And that you see that kind of shit where this unhinged loyalty to billion-dollar companies there's going to be resistance. And the more that we all unify against the billion-dollar companies doing scummy tactics, especially when it comes to killing games and not like having actual ownership over shit like that, we need to be unified. And unfortunately, we're not. And without legislation like backing, especially in America, like it's so stacked against us. So it's nice to see that there is some push, and we're seeing some small successes. I do think it's going to take quite some time. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be solved within the next couple years. This might be within 10 years, so we might see some changes. I'm very skeptical to say that, yes, this is it. We're moving the needle. We are moving the needle, but very slowly. And by then, who knows what gaming is going to look like in like 10 years. Yeah. Let me know what you think. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Huzzah!